Aloha and welcome to West Maui. I'm Anita Marcy and this is my Saturday art session. Today I'd like to talk to you about storytelling. I myself love to tell a good story, and I'm sure most of you do too, because it's really important. It's all about what? It's all about sharing our experiences. I apologize for the breezes today. It's a little windy. The trades are probably somewhere around 15 to 20, but it sure feels good. Anyway, so storytelling. Here in Hawaii, we have a saying called talk story. Would you like to talk story today? How about we talk story? And it's a very, very important thing. Well, everywhere, of course, but here in Hawaii, we consider that to be almost like an event. You know, we get together and we talk story. And what do? We share. We share our experiences. We share our thoughts, our ideas, our creativity. We share everything. And I think that's so important. I think as human beings, we need to share. Especially right now when we're feeling kind of isolated, I think it's really important to share. And that's why I'm doing these sessions on Saturday mornings, because I feel the need to share. And I haven't been teaching at the hotel because the hotel is closed. So I miss teaching and I miss talking to people and I miss sharing. I really miss sharing and I miss storytelling. So here we are. I wanted to share with you something that I saw recently on Netflix, and it was actually very interesting. It was called The Great Flower Fight, I believe, and it was a competition in floral design, and it was fascinating. They had a competition, they had a project, shall we call it, an idea that they had to create every single week, and it was amazing what they came up with. And the projects got consistently more and more difficult, so that made it even more interesting. Well, they finally got to the final project, and it was a three-dimensional project, and it was based on fairy tales. And I thought that was interesting because don't we all love fairy tales from when we were little kids? I know I do. And one of them was Hansel and Gretel. And the idea, I guess you guys pretty much all know the story, but two little kids were in the woods walking around and they found little pieces of cookies and things, and then they found this great big beautiful gingerbread house and they had to go inside, of course, because the treats looked amazing and they couldn't resist. Well, there was a wicked witch inside the house, and the wicked witch decided to keep the kids, and story goes she supposedly ate them, but I don't know if that's true. Anyway, on this particular show, they had to do Hansel and Gretel. And what I found so interesting was that he flipped the story. And in fact, he flipped the house inside out. And the beauty he put on the inside and the outside, he made it a really kind of a dark and scary house. And I thought that was really very interesting. I thought it was really cool to do that, to flip the idea. So how do we flip ideas? I mean, how do we change things? I mean, really basically everything comes from inspiration or something from somewhere else. So how do we change it? How do we make it ours? And a lot of the judges, shall we call them, were saying to him, well, I don't know, that's going to work. It's not that pretty and it doesn't look that good. And what was really, he had his idea, he had his concept, and he stuck with it. And darned if he didn't win the whole competition because of his concept, because he was flipping the story. He was telling the story in a different way. He was telling his story in his way. And I think that that's so important. I think as artists, we really need to be aware of our stories. I know I'm always more interested in a piece once I know the idea or the story behind it. And I think everyone feels that way. And I think that's something that as artists we need to really start thinking more seriously about. We need to start thinking about our ideas and how we're telling our stories. And also I think it's important to attach our life experiences to our stories through our art. One of the other projects that they did in another of the competitions on the show I'm talking about was very interesting. The gentleman had some anxiety and depression issues, and he created a floral sculpture that was representative of his experience and his fears and his anxieties. And the piece itself wasn't really all that great, but it was the story that he told behind the piece that made it great. So I want you guys to think about that. What stories do we tell? What are the stories? Are they the stories of our lives, really? And we'll be telling stories about COVID for years to come, because we're part of history. We're making history right now. And, we'll tell our children, our grandchildren, and on and on and on it will go. And I think it's, as hard as it is a story, and it is a part of our life stories now, all of us. Everyone living at this time has this story to tell now. So how do we tell the story? Do we tell it in a positive way? Do we tell it in a negative way? I am always a girl with a glass that's half full. So I always like to think about what are the positive things that are happening right now. And I know for me and a lot of my artist friends, the positive things that are happening right now are creating. What are we creating? What are we making right now? And I've just created a YouTube channel, which I've never done before. So I was way out of my depth on that one, but I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna try it. And I'm gonna start uploading these Saturday art session videos to my YouTube. So we'll see what happens. I think sometimes it's best not to have expectations, so you go in with an open mind and an open heart, and just the idea that you want to share and maybe create something in someone else's mind that they never thought of before, and that maybe it excites them, and maybe it inspires them, and maybe it makes them want to do something a little differently. And that's really what I feel my purpose is on this planet, is to inspire people to think about things maybe in a different way, because I think that's what artists do. I think that's exactly what we do. We take what's here, we take what we see, we take what we feel, we mix it around up inside of ourselves, and we put it down. We put it out into the world in a tangible form of however we're creating. And I love the idea of the story behind the art. So think about that. So next time you create something, think about the connection. Is there a connection? Probably there is. So try to decide if that's the story you want to tell before you create the piece of art. And sometimes it happens the other way. Sometimes you might, I know that's happened to me quite a few times. I've created a piece of art and then I've thought, wow, why did I do that? Why did I make that piece of art? And I think that's because the story needed to come out. And sometimes you're not aware of that. And it's your subconscious mind really that's speaking to you, telling you that this story needs to come out through your creations. So I think it works both ways. I'm pretty sure about that. So your story can come subconsciously through your art, and then you figure out your story, or you have your story in your mind, kind of consciously, and you create consciously. Because I think there are lots of different ways of creating, but I think consciously and subconsciously are the two primary basic ways. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a great weekend, and it's a beautiful day here on Maui. Again, we've been very fortunate with our weather, and I hope that you're having a wonderful time, and I hope that you're being creative, and I wish you guys all the best, and we'll see you next Saturday for Saturday Art Sessions. Take care now. Aloha!